Let me tell you a story about a man named Dort, a tree farming man of a most peculiar sort. Now Dort was crude, and Dort was tough. He'd work us all day in the sun or the snow and never say enough. Dort chewed tobacco, had one tooth left. He'd offer us water with floating crumbs of bread, and that's not all. It was tainted with snuff. Kerosene from his well, as if that wasn't enough. And it was lukewarm. Had floating curds of milk in it. Okay. Hey, Dort! You were my friend, but you were a fool to come to such a bad end. Hey, Dort! You followed a lie. You doubted the truth, and without God you would die. From the day I was 12, Dort was my boss man. And 8 years later he gave me some of his land. Now Dort was a drinker, he had no fear. One day he fell on his shears and cut off half of his ear. Didn't want no doctor, no higher power. He went back to his house and glued it together with flour. Yeah, he really did. 6 hours of surgery later, he came back looking like himself. When Dort lay dying, he still would say he had more friends in hell and was bound to go that way. Hey, Dort, you were my friend, but you were a fool to come to such a bad end. Hey, Dort, you followed a lie. You doubted the truth, and without God you would die. Hey, Dort, you were my friend, but you were a fool to come to such a bad end. Well, come on in, it's supper time. Let's eat on the porch. The kitchen's hot, the kitchen's an oven, and my skin is fried from the summer sun. It's steaks tonight from the old milk cow. They're big as a plate, the fat is crisp, the conversation's fun, and the meat's well done. Dad says grace before we begin, and everyone's talking, digging in, and that's what I remember about supper time. Well, come on in, it's supper time. There's plenty for all, you're just in time. Peas from the garden, potatoes too, we grew it all. Laughing out loud at the stories told, Dad would smile and Mom would scold. Lunch was fine, but supper time we had a ball. Dad says grace before we begin, and everyone's talking, digging in. And that's what I remember about supper time. Well, come on in, it's supper time. Our work is done, it's time to eat. Bring your appetite, we'll treat it right where the food is great. Save room for dessert, it's apple pie or strawberry shortcake or homemade ice cream. Cheesecake, donuts, cookies, cakes, just pass your plate. Dad says grace before we begin, and everyone's talking and digging in. And that's what I remember about supper time. Yeah, that's what I remember about supper time. Well, come on in and welcome, friend. Wash your hands and pull up a chair, it's supper time. like Virginia. The hills are taller, the grass is greener in the early spring, and the roads are newer. The sky looks bluer. I like Virginia, but there's just one thing. I'm from Pennsylvania. Yeah, I was born there. I raised my family in its country ways. It's where my father's buried, and I was married. And Pennsylvania is where I'm gonna stay. But I like Virginia. I went to school there. Spring comes early and winter's not so cold. And they're building homes there, and jobs are not scarce. I like Virginia, but half the story's told. I'm from Pennsylvania. Yeah, I was born there. Raised my family in its country ways. It's where my daddy's buried, and I was married. And Pennsylvania is where I'm gonna stay. Sometimes when you're drawn away, you have to take your stand and say, I'm not leaving here. My home is where I'll stay. But I like Virginia. The accent's lovely. The ocean whispers from her eastern sands. And there's Appomattox and Monticello. I like Virginia, but I understand. I'm from Pennsylvania. Yeah, I was born there. Raised my family in its country ways. Where my daddy's buried, and I was married. And Pennsylvania is where I'm gonna stay. But I like Virginia. Night in a trailer with the rain running down the window panes, near a line in town where you first saw the light. And you grew up with little more than pride, running wild and brave and free neath the Pennsylvania trees, on a pony or a worn out bike you ride. And you were born on a summer's day, house beside a creek, no one else to hear your squeak, but your mama and your daddy there to stay. And you grew up little Pullman way, listening more than you would speak, later fiercely you would seek independence and the chance to have your say. And you were born when the leaves turned gold, in a trailer in a field, only crop that it would yield, live with pain in early years, so you're told. And you grew up learned some ways to mend the broken parts of life that haven't healed. And I am glad to watch you grow, knowing somehow you'll survive, and as long as I'm alive, I will be your biggest fan, don't you know? Knowing somehow you'll survive, even deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq, riding alone 8,000 miles across the country and back on a moped, traveling with a band in a black bus down a mountainside with no brakes. And as long as you're alive, I will be your biggest fan, don't you know? Thank you. She feels the bombs on Baghdad like they're falling on her town. She grieves for dying children as her own. She never hears a story about a soldier lost in war without feeling it's her child she's crying for. She's an American mother. She has a son or daughter in military service somewhere. It never mattered this much to her what happens overseas, but suddenly she's very much aware, and she cares. She's eager now for news about the conflict, but some stories will have to wait a while. She's learned a lot from Howard Zinn and Chomsky, and conversations with her military child. She's an American mother. She has a son or daughter in military service somewhere. It never mattered this much what happens overseas. Suddenly she's very much aware, and she cares. They are American mothers. They all have sons or daughters in military service somewhere. It never mattered this much what happens overseas, but suddenly they're very much aware and they care. He wore a blue denim shirt and black cargo pants. He wasn't looking for love, he just wanted to dance. He went out on a town one hot summer night, hoping to find someone to hold him so tight. It's a story that's often been sung, one lonely heart beating in time with no one. Oh, sometimes love's easy, and often it's blind to the faults and the failings of all humankind. On the dance floor that evening, he offered his hand to the woman who held him just as he planned. She wore a red gingham dress, a little too tight. She wasn't asking forever, just a friend for tonight. She went out on the town that same night in July, hoping she'd know him when she met the right guy. It's a story that's often been sung. One lonely heart beating in time with no one. Oh, sometimes love's easy, and often it's blind to the faults and the failings of all humankind. On the dance floor that evening, she took his hand and danced every dance, glad to be with this man. I like to think that he's a young post-war veteran, suffering from some post-traumatic stress issues, waking up nights, nightmares, and cold sweats, just barely getting by. She's a graduate student in psychology or counseling, serving her internship in a Veterans Affairs clinic, helping young soldiers with those same problems. But sometimes life works out that way. We don't know from this song whether they fell in love, settled down, got married, raised a family. We don't know anything about that. We just know that they met, and for one evening of dancing, they weren't alone. But we do know they didn't go home together that night. A lot of stories may end that way today, but this couple had old-fashioned virtues. How do we know that? Because we created them. And at the end of that evening, they parted with a kiss on the cheek. On the dance floor one evening, they held each other tight, not asking forever, just hold me tonight. Too many hearts beating in time with no one, the sadness of living life too much alone. It's a story that's often been sung. Two lonely hearts now beating as one. Oh, sometimes love's easy and often sublime, in spite of the failings of all humankind. With a kiss on her cheek, she watched him walk out of sight, but they were both making plans for next Friday night. Brother Bean Coffeehouse. I went down to Brother Bean's Global Coffeehouse in Seneca, Pennsylvania. I went down to Brother Bean's Global Coffeehouse in Seneca. I got a great cup of coffee there and good food to fill me up. I heard a band on the stage, they were playing one of my favorite tunes. I heard a band on the stage, they were playing one of my favorite tunes. I said, do you know any Dylan songs? They said, sorry dude, we'll learn some real soon. Yeah, right. I saw young folks in a corner with black clothes and jet black hair. You might have seen them too. I said, young folks in a corner with black clothes and jet black hair. They were laughing, talking, and looked like they were glad to be there. They looked like friends of mine. I went down to Brother Bean's Global Coffeehouse in Seneca. I went down to Brother Bean's Global Coffeehouse in Seneca. I got a great cup of coffee there and good food to fill me up. bloggers and salesmen and teachers, social workers and students and preachers, young folks and old people too. Playing games on Friday nights, Saturdays listening to folk rock and blues. I saw a man with his laptop at the same table every day. I said a man with his laptop at the same table almost every day. He told me he was a preacher and he got more work done that way. Who knew? And everywhere I looked around, I saw people with their laptop PCs. Everywhere I looked around, I saw people with their laptop PCs. So digitally connected, they never even noticed me. I went down to Brother Bean's Global Coffeehouse in Seneca. I went down to Brother Bean's Global Coffeehouse in Seneca. I got a great cup of coffee there. I think it was a butter pecan latte. Good food to fill me up. They serve a great cup of coffee there and good food to fill you up. All right. Now Gandalf the Grey was a fearsome foe to orcs and goblins on the earth and below. Gandalf the White, after a fight, after killing a Balrog on a mountain of snow. But Gandalf the Black is my daughter's cat, lives in my house as a matter of fact. For 17 years he's ruled the place. Some days I don't want to see his face when he yowls. Ow! Oh, yes, he yowls. Ow! Oh, my, does he yowl? Ow! When he don't get his way. Now Gandalf the Grey was a wizard, I'm told. He helped dwarves and a hobbit find a treasure of gold. And Gandalf the White, after riding all night, turned back a Nazgul with a beam of light. But Gandalf the Black is my daughter's cat, lies around all day just padding his fat. He has one unique talent, if you call it that. That old black rascal is a great nap cat, but he yowls. Ow! Yes, he yowls. Ow! Oh, my, does he yowl? Ow! When he don't feel okay. Gandalf the Grey, he knew one thing. Bilbo Baggins found a powerful ring. When Gandalf the White, he dropped out of sight, and came back in time to help win the fight. But Gandalf the Black is my daughter's cat. He went off to college. Can you believe that? Lost in Niagara, his future looked black. He gave up a life, but the kitty came back. And he yowls. Ow! Yes, he yowls. Ow! Oh my, does he yowl? Ow! When he's feeling okay. He's always vocal. He's always begging for a belly rub. And then he'll greet you when you come home with a cool head bob. You know, kind of like this. Hey, dude, where you been? Now give me a rub. Come on, do the right thing. And he yowls. Ow! Oh, yes, he yowls. Ow! Oh, my, does he yowl. Ow! When he don't feel okay. Gravity always gets me down. I've fallen again. Face down, turned around on the ground. Oh, I've fallen again. Won't somebody come and pick me up? I'm a fallen man. Somebody, anybody, come over here and lend me a hand. Oh, gravity always gets me down. I've fallen again. Face down, turned around on the ground. Oh, I'm needing a friend. I can see there's no pity for me in your righteous eyes. You're too late for your important date to help me rise. Oh. Gravity always gets me down. I've fallen again. Face down, turned around on the ground. Oh, this could be the end. I wish I could find a way to trade places with you. Me up there and you down here. And see what you do. See what you do. It's not so bad down here in the ground, with all the bugs, the garbage, the gravel. I think I'll just stretch out here and take a little nap. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Good night, everybody. And thank you. Here's a song that speculates about the afterlife. Speculates about this big, metaphysical, maybe important question. Is there soap in hippie heaven? What I did to Bruce, and I don't do these things to him intentionally, but I made him photocopies sideways, so all the song titles got cut off. So we'll say, oh, hippie heaven. Well, in the meantime, as he's organizing his papers, he gave them his own names, just kind of invented a name and put on there. So sometimes we're not on the same page, but we get there eventually. It works. Is there soap in hippie heaven, or is bathing just for fun? Do the babies wear wool soakers, or just lose it on the run? Do the grannies knit and whistle in their solar-powered home, where everybody gathers so they'll never be alone? If you have friends with dreadlocked hair and patches on their knees, keep in time with djembes while they sing doxologies. Maybe hippie heaven is the place you want to be. Is there soap in hippie heaven, or is bathing just for fun? Do the babies wear wool soakers, or just lose it on the run? Do The young girls dance forever in their geodesic dome, where everybody gathers so they'll never be alone. If you like picking berries or eating goat milk cheese and naturopathic remedies for easing your disease, maybe hippie heaven is the place you want to be. Is there soap in hippie heaven, or is bathing just for fun? Do the babies wear wool soakers or just lose it on the run? Do the men all wear patchouli in their earthen sheltered home, where everybody gathers so they'll never be alone? Where everybody gathers so they'll never be alone. My father's grandpa Henry was a mean old German man. Inches his grandson leaves a mark whenever he can. I wonder if I'll grow up mean and treat my grandson so, or if I'll have a change of heart from ash to white as snow. My father, he gets even, sometimes on the sly. Beats him flies where he sits sleeping with his mouth hung open wide. Or sometimes in the evening in the barn at milking time, helps him fall down after milking, both shoelaces tied together. My father's grandpa Henry is a mean old German man. Inches his grandson leaves a mark whenever he can. I wonder if I'll grow up mean and treat my grandson so, or if I'll have a change of heart from ash to white as snow. One summer night some neighbors came to call 'cause they supposed the family should know Henry's in the orchard with no clothes. I don't believe the things that he had done, for of their bad behaviors, the meanest were his own. Used to tell me of the tricks his brother tried, things he did to hurt him or to watch some creature die. I don't believe his mother knew the wicked things he did. It must have been especially good keeping those things hid. I thought we were beyond all this. I thought we had evolved. Cruelty in the human heart is a problem we had solved. Violence and war, they said, come from minds that are deranged. But in my life of 50 years, it seems like nothing's changed. My father's grandpa Henry is a mean old German man. Pinches his grandson, leaves a mark whenever he can. I wonder if I'll grow up mean and treat my grandson so, or if I'll have a change of heart from ash to white as snow, or if I'll have a change of heart from ash to white as snow. I was thinking about my father and remembering how he used to shake his head and grin and try not to say too much about my latest escapade. He had a sense of humor that could see the lighter side of the everyday calamities that seemed to be our lot. At 70, he was still a child who loved to entertain with stories only slightly stretched to amplify their effect. My father had a way to make you feel at ease. He'd tell a tale and laugh away your blues. And the stories that he told grew more colorful with telling. He seldom failed to interest or amuse. He never thought too much of who he was, but his name alone could cash a check for us in town. He sacrificed himself to build a family, working jobs that galled him, to pay the bills and help us reach for more. He loved his wife, our mother. We knew because he stayed with her, and he teased her, and he honored her, and he let her laugh at him when we didn't dare. My father had a name, as an honest man I know. He never owed a debt he didn't pay. He worked hard all his life, wore out his heart, and left a wife. Giving all he had was just my father's way. And it's been 5 long years and more since I last held your hand and looked into your eyes to say goodbye. And I wish I could say you were with me here today to tell your favorite stories one more time. He was generous and unselfish toward his children and his church, and with time and treasure served both very well. He grew more patient with us as his hair grew white, and his love, increased and purified, would bring the world to God. My father had a mind to meditate on mysteries like life and love, and why did Adam fall? He gladly gave his time to bring this world in line, to receive the God and Maker of us all. And it's been 5 long years and more since I last your hand, looked into your eyes to say goodbye. And I wish I could say you were with me here today, but your life as I remember it still shines. Oh yes, your life as I remember it still shines.